This is our 1965 XKE open two-seater. And this was the first car I purchased and probably my sentimental favorite of all the cars I own. Even though I purchased it in 1978, the love affair with this car starts a lot earlier than that. From the time I bought this car in 1978, I drove it every summer till about 2006, when I decided to restore it back to its original beauty. Since then, it is 5-time JCNA North American champion. So this is one of the probably the premier car in North America when you're talking about Series 1 open two-seaters. The love affair with this car started back in 1964, the year I graduated high school and the year I started college at the University of Pittsburgh. Back in those days, quite different than today, the new cars when they come out were kind of an event. The dealerships put brown paper on their windows and they had a day where everybody could come in and see what the new models looked like. Today, every model looks the same and there's no need for any of that. But it was quite a big thing for kids growing up in the 50s and 60s. And one of my favorite things to do, since I was probably a car guy from when I was young, even though I didn't know it, was to go around to all these car showrooms the days they opened up in the big splash and see all the new models. Well, living in Altoona, we didn't have any foreign cars back in 1964 when I graduated high school. And nor did I ever I don't think I ever even saw an XKE, because we didn't have any place to see it, and television was not like it is today. You had maybe one color TV channel station a week. So I don't think I ever saw an XKE. But when I went to the University of Pittsburgh, like we did in Altoona, me and my friends went to all the openings of all the new car dealers. And that entailed Jaguars, Mercedes-Benz, all the foreign cars that we didn't get a chance to see in Altoona. Well, when I walked into the Jaguar dealership, most of the time it was usually late September or early October. When I walked into the dealership in 1964 to look at the 65 models, I viewed my first look at an XKE in person. And that was the start of a love affair. And I knew someday in my life I was going to own an XKE. Little did I know that moment probably started everything I've done here today, my whole collection. It was the beginning of my love affair, not only with XKEs and Jaguars, but with cars in general, and specifically English cars. Well, I finished college in 1968. I was an undercover intelligence agent for 3 years. Started work in 1971 and started earning some money that I might someday earn an XKE. Around 1977 or 78, I made it pretty well known to all my cousins and everybody that I knew were car guys that I was looking for an XKE. And not a newer one, but an older one, because I didn't have a whole lot of money at the time. So my one cousin found that there was a kid in Bellwood that had a bunch of cars that he was selling, and one of them was an XKE, a 1965 XKE, which made it perfect because that's the first one I saw. So my neighbor and a friend of mine was I won't call him my mentor, but he was the guy that got me interested mostly in English cars. He had 9 or 10 Jaguars at the time. So I called him up and I said, I'm going to make an appointment to go see a 1965 XKE Roadster, which is the same as an open two-seater. Would you mind going with me and looking at it and tell me if it's worth it? Because I basically knew nothing about Jaguars at the time. And he said, sure, I'll go with you. So I think it was a Saturday morning. I made an appointment to get down and look at this car. And we walked into the kitchen of this kid today. I say kid, he was probably a little bit older than I was at the time, and his mother. And there was a big garage out behind his house. And we walked in, there was about 10 cars in there, and they were all filthy, and this XKE here was sitting in the corner with junk all over it. We had to pull stuff off it just to look at it. It didn't start. In fact, it was so dirty when I bought it, I thought it was gray. So Denny looked at it. He wanted $4,700 for the car at the time. That was about maybe a little bit less than what it would cost new in 1965. So it didn't devalue too much over the years. And they had done some work to the water pump and ruined that. And it was just a mess. So I went out and talked. We walked out of the garage. I said, Denny, what do you think? He says, well, I'd try to get him down a little bit, but it's probably worth $4,700. So through a long talk, I kept on. I offered him $4,000. We ended up at $4,200. So we went back into the house. We're sitting at the kitchen table with him and his mother, and I'm writing out the check, and he starts crying. I mean, he's really bawling. I can't sell the car. I don't want to sell the car. That's my favorite car. I can't sell it. And his mother kept telling him, you need the money. You got to sell the car. He's, oh, that's my favorite car. I can't sell it. So his mother said, I don't think we can get a deal done. Or he won't sell it here today. So I was very disappointed. And Denny and I walked out. And Denny said, what bank do you have? I said, I think it was Central Counties at the time. He said, let's go to the bank. So we went to the bank. We got $4,200 in cash, ones, fives, and tens. Put them in a brown paper bag. Now it's about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the morning. I'm back to the kid's house, knocked at the door, and his mother came to the door. I said, I'd like to talk to your son again. She said, well, he's upstairs. Let me go get him. And we come in and we sat at the kitchen table. Well, he came down the stairs and sat down. I said, are you sure you don't want to sell this car? And he said, oh, I don't think I can sell it. Just at that point, I took the paper bag, whiffed it up in the air. Money flew all over the kitchen. I mean, there was money everywhere. His mother grabbed him by the ear and said, you're selling that car, no matter what, you're selling that car, you need the money. That's how I bought this car. And I think at the time, it was the start of everything. It was the start of my love affair with English cars. It was the start of the love affair for this car, which I think is probably the most beautiful car ever made. So that's how I bought my 1965 open two-seater.